Another heartbreak in Boston for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Another big Bruin comeback, and the series is over. Boston moves on.
Why did the Leafs lose? Virtually everything that bit them in the rear end in the regular season came back to haunt them in the playoffs. Inconsistent goaltending, poor play on defense, wonky special teams, and the after effects of some injuries. Really, they had a chance to defeat the Boston Bruins, but could not put all the elements that they'd worked on during the season together in one game, especially in key moments in Boston, in Toronto, and in the end, not having home ice advantage came back to hurt them.
So why did the Leafs lose? I'll tell you why they lost, in my books anyway. You had two teams, and one team always seems to be ready for playoff hockey. Their best players and even their third and fourth liners just seem to be better prepared and just rise to the occasion, where the Leafs players, other than the fourth line actually did have a good series, their top players just don't seem to play at their max that the Boston players do all the time. I mean, you tell me that Tavares and Matthews and Marner played anywhere near to their max? I don't think so. And to me, that was the number one problem, and that sort of eclipsed everything else in this series.
Fire Mike Babcock? That seems to be the easy answer around Leaf Nation today. But remember, the last time they had a coach who took them to back-to-back 100-point seasons, they missed the playoffs the next 9 years. There's certain things that Babcock could have done differently in that series, and why the Maple Leafs are golfing this morning instead of going on to the second round against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Some of the blame, though, must be put at the feet of General Manager Kyle Dubas. He had a goaltending situation he could not rectify. He went after William Nylander, who's turned out to be somewhat of a bust in the first year of his big contract. Some of that has to be reflected in how the Maple Leafs did in 2018-19.
Do I think this was Mike Babcock's finest hour as a coach? No, I don't. But do I think they should fire him? No, I don't think they should. I think one of the problems with the Leafs in this series was I don't think General Manager Kyle Dubas did everything he could to make this team playoff worthy and a team ready to beat the Bruins.
Making it harder for Leaf Nation to digest today is that the path to the Stanley Cup may never be this wide open again. All the first-round upsets, plus the fact that next season the Maple Leafs are going to have various salary cap issues. Once Mitch Marner has to be re-signed, and a couple of other youngsters such as Andreas Johnsson must be fit under the salary cap, will they have enough space and enough talent to make another run for the top?
Was this the best chance the Leafs had to win the Stanley Cup? I actually do think it was. I mean, if they get by Boston, they face Columbus, and even though Columbus swept Tampa Bay in 4 straight, I think that probably had more to do with Tampa Bay's problems than it did how great Columbus is. I actually think the Leafs being a quick team and that kind of thing, I think they would have matched up pretty well against Columbus. And with all these top-ranked teams now out of the playoffs, let's face it, the Leafs probably would have had the easiest chance to get to the playoffs all the rounds now and get to a Stanley Cup. What I would like to see is find some way to get rid of Nylander. I don't think that can happen. Gardner's on his way out. I think they need some more sandpaper. They've really got to address the defense situation. And, you know, look at what they got. They got some of these forwards. They're young, and they're tremendous players. They got Tavares locked up, Matthews, Marner. I love Kapanen. But I think they're never going to get over that hump until they round out what they have with a couple more, you know, good D-men, and they're going to have to give something up to get that. And a little more sandpaper. I know I'm repeating myself, but if they can do that, I definitely feel this team has the core to finally, once they get past the first round and get the monkey off their back, I think they can go really deep and maybe bring Toronto a Stanley Cup. Let us know what you think by going on Facebook or Twitter. This is Steve Buffrey for the Toronto Sun.